Today we're going to talk about geometric solid shapes. Just a quick introduction, and we're going to go through a few examples of these geometric solids. And they are different from plane shapes that we've looked at before. Plane shapes had length and width. Now these geometric solid shapes, they take up space. They have length, width, and height. They are three-dimensional. So first let's start with rectangular solids. Rectangular solids or rectangular prisms. They are solid shapes having two bases with that are parallel and congruent. They also have 6 faces, 8 vertices, and 12 edges. So let's go ahead and bring one up and look and see what this means, these faces, vertices, and edges. Okay, so here's this 3D shape that you might think of it as a box. And let's see these 6 faces. These 6 faces you might think of as the sides. You've probably called them sides of the box before. So you see here, we'll call this the front. That is a face. Instead of calling it a side, the technical name for it is a face. Here, you might think of this as the left side. There's a face. This right side is a face. Underneath it is a face. The top of it is a face. The back side is a face. And there are the 6 faces of the rectangular prism. Now let's talk about the vertices. The vertices are the points. We'll talk about the edges first. The edges are here where 2 faces meet. So this edge down at the bottom here is where the bottom and the front faces meet. Over here, it's where the bottom and the left side face meet. This edge here, it's where the top face meets and the back face meets. This edge here is where the right side, the right face, and the top face meet. So there are 12 edges, and then where the edges come together at a point is where we find our vertices. Whoa, let me grab that again. Okay, so where these edges meet are our vertices. I'm just going to place a point where we find all of the vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there are your vertices. Let's go over some examples where you might see a geometric solid, the rectangular solid, in real life. You can look around the room you're in and you'll see some examples of this. So here's a few simple examples: a tissue box, a book, and a cereal box. And we can use these to see the length, the width, and then the height of these 3D shapes, these rectangular solids. All right, let's go on and let's look at a cube. A cube is a type of a rectangular solid or rectangular prism. It has 6 square faces. So the 6 square faces, meaning that all of its faces are congruent or the same size. The front, the back, the top, the bottom, the left and right, all of those faces are the same size. Some examples that you might see: a pair of dice and a Rubik's Cube, hence the name. Those are types of cubes. And just like the rectangular solid, it has 8 vertices and 12 edges. Next, let's look at the triangular prism. And a triangular prism has 5 faces. which include 2 triangular bases and 3 rectangular faces. It has 6 vertices and 9 edges. So here are a couple examples of what a triangular prism looks like. Again, it has 2 triangular faces. So here it is the front and the back sides. Those faces are triangular. And then 3 rectangular prisms at the bottom. And then this right side, and then this left side, that left face. Those are the rectangular prisms. The one on the bottom here is just flipped. So the top and bottom are the triangular faces. And then this front, the back left, and the back right are the rectangular faces. Okay, and then some examples of those that you might see in your day-to-day life. Here, an example would be a doorstop wedge and then a yummy piece of cake shaped like a triangular prism. Next, let's look at a square pyramid. A square pyramid has 5 faces. 4 of those faces or sides are congruent triangular bases. And then that 5th face is a square base. So here's a picture of one. You can see the bottom here is that square base. And then all of the other sides or faces are triangles. So some examples in real life. Obviously the pyramids in Egypt. And then here this tent has a similar shape to the square pyramid. Next, the cylinder. Right, a cylinder is a geometric solid shape that has 2 congruent parallel circular bases. So here's a picture of one. The bottom and the top are those congruent parallel circular bases. I'm sure it looks very familiar. You've seen a lot of examples in your everyday life. So here we see a Coca-Cola can, Duracell batteries, and some markers. Those are all examples of cylinder shapes. Next, let's look at the cone. The definition of a cone: it is a geometric solid shape that has 1 circular base and 1 vertex. So the circular base is here at the bottom, and that 1 vertex is here at the top. That point at the top is called the vertex. Some examples you might see in everyday life. Here are some fun ones: a party hat, an ice cream cone, hence the name, and some traffic cones as well. Some examples of a cone shape. One more shape is the sphere. So the simple definition of a sphere: it's shaped like a ball. Each point is equally distant from its center. Some examples: balls, oranges, planets. Some examples of a sphere shape. All right, in your next videos, we're going to start looking at finding the surface area, volume of these rectangular solids. Then we're going to go on to cubes and so on. So we're going to start calculating surface area of these shapes in your next videos.